There is something in your hand right now that you have never fully used to pray. Not a rosary, not a candle, not a book. Your hand itself, the one you press together when you bow your head, the one you raise when you ask for a miracle, has been all this time the most sacred instrument you carry, and almost no one has ever told you what it was made to do. Take a breath right now, a slow one. Feel the air come in and fill your chest, because what I am about to share with you tonight is something that has been practiced for thousands of years, something that sits at the crossing point of Hebrew tradition, early Christian mysticism, and the way your own nervous system was built. And it begins not with a prayer you memorize, but with 3 letters you write on the palm of your open hand. If you have been faithful for years and still feel like your prayers are words sent to an empty room, if you wake at 3 in the morning with a chest full of worry and a silence that answers nothing, I want you to know that I see you, and that what has been blocking the door is not your faith. It has never been your faith. Tell me where you are watching from. Write your city or your state in the comments right now, not for this channel, but for yourself, as the first act of saying, I am here, I am present, I am ready. And if this is the kind of teaching that speaks to something old and true inside you, subscribing is not clicking a button. It is saying yes to your own path. Here is what no one has told you, and what changes everything once you see it. Amen is not a closing. It is not the period at the end of a sentence. In its original Hebrew root, 3 letters, Aleph, Mem, Nun, the word means to confirm, to establish as true, to agree with divine reality. When the ancient believers spoke it, they were not finishing a request. They were making a declaration. They were saying, what God has spoken is already sealed, already real, already mine, even before my eyes can see it. But somewhere across the centuries, the posture shifted. Prayer became petition. It became asking, pleading, waiting, a hand outstretched in need, rather than a hand open in receive. And the tragedy is not that God stopped listening. The tragedy is that a closed, trembling, grasping hand cannot hold what is being poured into it. If you have ever prayed the same prayer for years and felt nothing move, the financial situation that stays frozen, the child who has not come back, the diagnosis that sits like a stone, it was not because heaven was silent. It was because the posture of your prayer was one of begging. And begging and receiving cannot happen in the same body at the same time. Go to the comments right now and write 2 words, I receive. Not as a response to a video, as a declaration to heaven. You are saying, I align myself, I open my hands. I confirm what is already mine. The moment you type those words, something shifts, not in the screen, but in you. What I am going to give you tonight is not a new prayer. It is the recovery of a forgotten posture, one that your body already knows how to hold, one that 3 specific letters will unlock, and one that takes less than 3 minutes to perform before you close your eyes tonight. There are 5 steps. Each one has a reason rooted in both science and sacred tradition. And by the time we reach the last one, you will understand not just what to do, but why your body, your nervous system, your breath, your open palm was always part of the design. Before I tell you which 3 letters these are, and why these 3 specifically will not work if replaced by any others, I need to tell you something about your hand that most people have never considered. In Hebrew, the word yad, which means hand, also means monument, a living memorial, a physical inscription of covenant. In the early Christian tradition, the laying on of hands was not symbolic. It was understood as a transfer of spiritual authority through the body itself. And modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients seemed to already know. The hands contain the highest concentration of nerve endings in the human body outside of the face, which means that writing something on your own palm activates a neurological loop connecting physical sensation, visual confirmation, and deep emotional memory all at once. The body begins to carry the prayer, not just the mind. The way a seal pressed into warm wax holds its mark long after the hand has lifted. The 3 letters are Aleph, Mem, and Nun. Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the first letter of the word for God, and the only letter in the alphabet that makes no sound by itself. It is the silent breath, the open throat, the divine exhale that was breathed into Adam's nostrils at the beginning of all things. And writing it tonight is your acknowledgement that the source of your prayer is not your need. It is God's breath, which already lives inside you. Mem is the letter of water, of the womb of possibility, carrying the numerical value of 40, the 40 days of flood, the 40 years in the desert, the 40 days of fasting. It is the letter through which blessing flows into material reality. And when you write it on your hand, you are declaring, I am a willing channel. I am open to be filled. And then there is Nun. And most people who try a practice like this stop before they understand Nun. And that is exactly why nothing changes for them. Nun is the letter of the hidden miracle, the letter of faithfulness to what cannot yet be seen, carrying the value of 50, the number of Jubilee, the year when debts were cancelled and freedom was declared. It is the seed beneath frozen ground in January, already becoming what it will be before a single sign appears above the surface. And writing Nun is the most courageous act in this entire practice. because it is the declaration of someone who has not yet seen the door open and chooses to believe anyway. If you are still here, if you have walked this far with me, you are not a casual person. Check right now that you are subscribed to this channel. Activate the bell. Leave your like on this video, not as engagement, but as your signal to yourself that you intend to continue, that you are not walking away from this when the screen goes dark. Now, the ritual itself has 5 steps, and I need you to move slowly through each one, because speed is the enemy of what we are doing here. The first step is preparation. Sit or lie down. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, and on the exhale of each one, release one worry by name. Not suppress it, release it. Because exhaling activates the part of your nervous system that receives rather than defends, and you cannot pour water into a clenched fist. The second step is to open your dominant hand, palm facing upward, fully open, not half closed, not hesitant, because an open hand is an answered prayer, waiting to be filled. And you are not begging tonight, you are presenting your vessel. The third step is to write the 3 letters A-M-N, or the full word Amen, slowly, using the index finger of your other hand or a simple pen, tracing each letter as if engraving it, giving each stroke 3 to 5 seconds, because slowness tells your nervous system that this is not routine, this is significant, and a slow, deliberate gesture releases in your body the quiet anticipation of something meaningful about to arrive. The fourth step is to close your hand gently, not tight, but gathered. Bring it to the center of your chest and speak these words aloud or in the most sincere whisper you can find. I seal this hand as an open door. What God has declared for my life, I confirm tonight. Amen. Say it 3 times. The first time the mind hears it with some doubt. The second time the heart begins to receive it. The third time the body registers it as true. There is a parable I want to give you here before the final step. There was a woman who had been carrying a sealed letter for years. She could feel its weight. She knew it had been written for her, but the seal had never been broken. She had asked, she had pleaded, she had knocked on every door. One evening, an old woman sat beside her and after a long silence asked, "Have you ever tried opening it yourself?" The woman looked confused and said, "But the seal belongs to the one who sent it." And the old woman smiled and said, "The seal belongs to the sender, but the hands that receive, those belong to you. And a letter cannot be received by a closed hand." That night, for the first time, the woman opened her palm fully and held it upward, and in the morning, something had arrived that had always been meant for her. The fifth and final step, the one most people skip, and the one that makes all the difference, Before I give it to you, I want you to look at the palm of your dominant hand right now. Look at it for 3 seconds, because in a moment, something is going to change there. The 5th step is this. As you fall asleep, rest the written hand on your heart or open at your side, and hold in your mind a single image, a door made of light, gently swinging open. You do not need to know what is behind it. The opening is enough, because in the final moments before sleep, your brain enters a state where imagined experience and real experience are neurologically identical. The subconscious cannot tell the difference. And planting the image of an opening door in that state is planting the expectation of receiving in the deepest storage your mind possesses. Now, what I haven't told you yet is what happens in the 7 days that follow. Because the practice does not end when you close your hand. That is actually when it begins. I need you to hear this clearly, because this is the place where most people quietly sabotage everything they have just done. The ritual is not broken by forgetting a step. It is broken by what you do with your mouth in the hours that follow. The next morning, the next afternoon, when nothing visible has changed yet, and the old voice returns and says, "See, nothing happened. Nothing ever happens for me." That voice is not your faith. That voice is the frozen ground trying to convince the seed that spring is not coming. The nun, the letter of the hidden miracle, only works in the person who does not dig up the seed to check on it. What you declare with your hand at night must not be contradicted by what you declare with your mouth by day. If you write, "I receive," on your palm, and then spend the morning telling your sister that nothing ever changes, you have not done the practice. You have done half of it, which is the same as doing none of it. The door that is opening does not announce itself with sound. It moves in silence, the way all real things move, and the only people who miss it are the ones who stopped believing it was moving before it finished swinging open. You have been faithful for a long time, longer than most people could sustain, in a silence heavier than most people will ever know. And tonight, you did not come to this video by accident. You came because something in you has not given up. And that something is not stubbornness. It is the truest part of who you are. What you now carry is not a technique. It is a recovered posture. The posture of someone who has stopped begging and started confirming. Who has stopped asking if they are worthy and started opening their hands as if the answer were already on its way, because it is. There is someone you know right now who is carrying the same silence you have carried. Someone who prays in the dark and wonders if anyone is listening. Someone who has been faithful and tired and quietly afraid that the door was never meant for them. Share this video with that person tonight, not as content, as a message that says, someone thought of you, someone wanted you to have this. You may be the very door that opens for them. Before you set this down tonight, I want to leave you with one final invitation. Go to the comments and write this declaration. Copy it exactly, or let it come from your own chest in your own words. My hand is open. My door is open. What God has sealed for my life, I receive tonight. Amen. Write it as if you are signing the first page of a new chapter, because you are. Every person who writes this tonight becomes part of a community of open hands. People who chose to stop waiting in silence and chose to align. I read every one of them, and more than that, heaven reads them. You have been faithful for a long time. Tonight, let your hands be faithful too. Go now. Find your pen, open your palm, and let what has always been coming for you finally arrive.